Hello and welcome. If you're new here, my name's Jess and my husband and I are on our journey to becoming debt free. We do owe $125,000 in student loans. So I did an Instagram poll. I asked you what you wanted to see, whether you wanted to see a mid-month budget update or if you wanted to see my Excel budget spreadsheet. As you can see, the Excel spreadsheet won, but I thought since I'm updating this already as the month goes on, it can just be a mid-month update anyway. But first, before we get into the video, I would really appreciate it if you went and checked me out on Instagram at Gragg Hampton. The link will be down below in the description box. And then, as always, hit that subscribe button because it really helps out my channel. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So as you can see here, this is my January budget. First thing listed here is, in this column, is line items, and that basically just kind of changes as we go on. I've got a budgeted column. This is where I put what I'm budgeting for the month, so what I am planning on spending, that's what goes in this column. The actual column, so as something gets paid, I go ahead and fill it in here, even if it's like groceries and things. I keep an updated tally on here, as well as I keep all the receipts in this little handy dandy pouch. And then we have a remaining column. So up in the income section, the remaining column will tell you how much money you got paid extra or how much money you got paid less. Or if you haven't been paid yet, it says the full amount. Once we get down lower into the budget, that number is just saying how much you have left over to spend in that category. So here at the top, we've got our income. We do get paid our biggest pay at the very beginning of the month, and then a couple days into the month, we get another paycheck. So at the beginning of the month, we pretty much have a big chunk of money that pays most of our bills, as you will see as we go on with this budget. And then around the 17th or 18th, we get another paycheck. That's where this one comes in. And then we've got both of our FSA accounts. Our FSA accounts are for daycare, and we do have 2 kids, so it works out that we both max out that account. And then we planned on having $15 of extra income this month. So if we go over here to our actual and remaining, you can see here the actual pay and the remaining. So we were right on the money with that. Our next item, I actually got paid $3 more. And then our third paycheck for the month has not gotten put in yet. That'll be later this week. So it says that we're missing that much money, which we are right now, but we'll get it. And then from our claims, we've already got this FSA money. And then we did end up selling the old broke down car for $200. So we ended up getting $185 extra this month that we weren't planning on. So then just right here is our total budgeted and our total actual, and this is what we're waiting on to still receive. So if we continue to go down, the first category here is debt. So we've got our debt category. I believe that it is important to put your debt first, because that is something, if that's your goal, is to pay off your debt, you need to list it first so that you can make sure you have that entirely taken care of before you move on to anything else. So here I have all of our minimum payments, and this is for the car, for my son's birth. We've got our loans, so you can see these 2 have not come out yet. When they do, I will update that. These are all fixed rates, so it's all exactly what we budgeted for. And then we've got a big loan payment coming up that has not come out yet. And then down here at the bottom, this is something new. So we did change the facility that we're getting prenatal care at, and I'm on a payment plan that I'll talk about later from the old facility, but we did have to set up a new payment plan. So this actually will go into effect next month. I just went ahead and put it on this spreadsheet so that I can keep it in my mind that that'll be something that is coming up. And this should go up, the budgeted section should go up to $250 for baby number 3. And this is basically just an estimate of how much we're gonna owe after we have the baby. And so we're just paying on it until then, and then if we get billed more, that will be additional that we'll have to pay after the baby is born. Our next column is expenses. So expenses are things that come directly out of your bank account, things that are usually about the same amount every month. They might fluctuate depending on the time of year, but this is all direct deposited out of my account, or I write a check for it. So the first thing we've got is rent. We budgeted $750, we spent $750. Next thing we've got is pretty important, daycare. Daycare, we are budgeting $1,200. This is not normal for most months. This only happens a couple times a year where we pay daycare 3 times in the year. We do pay every other week, so that's just how it works out. Usually this is $800. This month it's just a little higher, which is totally fine because technically it ends up being about $866 a month when you equal it out. We have paid $400 so far, and we have another payment due tomorrow, so that will go up to $800. Dance class is $42 a month. That is for my daughter. iCloud, $5 a month for storage on Russell and my iPhones, or for any of our Apple products. That's our iCloud. Our gym payment, we budgeted $80, and we actually had a switch up in what we're doing with our gym situation for a little while. So we only ended up spending $23 in this category, which saved us $57, which is a good thing. Bittersweet, but good when it comes to our budget, I guess. And then you see here it says my chart. This is for our prenatal care payments from the old facility. This is a lot lower of an amount than what I'm going to owe on this next baby. So I just put it in here as expenses, even though it's technically a debt. It is not super substantial, so I'm just putting it in the payments because it'll be paid off before I know it. Then we've got AT&T that just came out yesterday, so I just updated that. $59, that is for our internet, and we have really, really good internet at home. So I'm okay with paying that. That did go up $9 from last year, but we've been in our house for a year, and so they had the promotion went away on it, basically. Next you'll see is Verizon. This is our phone bill, and this is for 2 phones, $165. We have unlimited everything, so I don't feel like that's that bad. We've got to have good internet service on our phone, and we've got to have phone service because we do a lot of things with our phones. So I'm okay with paying that. Netflix, $15. We don't have regular cable, so we do use Netflix. We also have Disney Plus, but we get it for free because we are Verizon members. Water, we budgeted $70, but we actually spent $79. I don't know, we did get some work done. Well, a plumber came and did some stuff at the house and ran some water for a while. So I don't know if that's why it's a little higher. Usually it doesn't, usually it sticks right around 70. So I'm not too worried about it. Gas always goes up in the winter, so we budgeted $100 and we are going to end up paying $106. It hasn't actually came out yet, but I've already gotten the bill for it. So $106, we went over $6 there. And then Evergy is our electricity. We budgeted $80, and it actually ends up that between December and February, there's a lapse in our service somehow. And so for December, we pay for extra days, and for February, we'll pay for extra days, but we don't have a payment due in January, which is weird. But our February payment will be a little bit higher than the $80, but that's okay because we will kind of we won't roll that money over, but we'll have extra to make sure we're just gonna budget extra basically in that category for next month because there'll be some extra days added to it. So we didn't end up spending anything on our electricity this month. Technically, the bill is not coming out this month. Then we've got Amazon Prime for $13, and then car insurance for $105. Now we're gonna scroll to our next section here, which is variable income. We used to do cash spending with our variable income. We are no longer doing that, mainly because it worked. It really did. It's a lot harder to spend cash, but the issue for me was that I would run into times where I couldn't get to the bank, and then I would just be like, oh, I'm just gonna use my card and I'll just figure it out later. And then I'd end up overspending because I was so just like, oh, well, whatever, I'll just use my card. And it was so too inconvenient, which I know is the point of cash spending, is for it to be inconvenient, but it was inconvenient to a point where it was not helping me reach my goals. So therefore, we figured out a way to make it work in a different way. The next category you see here is your variable spending. So like I said, this is the things you might use your cash envelopes for. Our categories have dwindled down because I think less is more when it comes to trying to keep track. So having less categories is working for us a lot better. First category we have here is food/home. So we do use our grocery money basically as like if we need something for our house, paper towels or toilet paper, things like that. That comes out of this budget. So we budgeted this month for $900. This is actually higher than normal because I just wanted to make sure we had enough, honestly. And so far we have spent $346, so that leaves us $554 for the rest of the month, which should be plenty. We've got our gas category. I did get a new vehicle. It's bigger. It uses more gas. So I wasn't sure what to budget here. I budgeted $179 and we actually have spent $70. So I think we're right on track. We might have to go out of town this weekend, but regardless, I think we're right on track to stay under budget with that. Our dogs, we budgeted $50 for their dog food each month, and we actually spent $30. We used Chewy.com, and we got 15 or 20% off, I believe. And then also they have like a promotion if you get on the subscription, like every 6 weeks, they send you the dog food, you pay for it, then you save a certain percentage, which we buy dog food pretty much every 5 or 6 weeks. So I thought, why not? It's cheaper than the pet food store here. So we're saving a little money there. Miscellaneous, we have budgeted $100 and we have spent $22, which is really good. Beauty, we have budgeted $100 and we spent $45, and that will probably only go up $30 more. So we should stay under budget there. And then fun, $100. And we've spent $450. That was for like a drink when Russell went golfing. So not bad. I think we're gonna go to the movies at some point because Mara needs to see Frozen 2, but we haven't gone yet, so that'll be where that money comes from. Unbudgeted expenses, I just have this in here as 0 because I wanna make sure I just have a line to put it because crazy things happen that you just have to take care of. So unbudgeted, we spent $330. Usually unbudgeted would not be that much, but my MacBook that I've had for like 10 years kind of pooped out a couple years ago, and I just now tried to get it fixed. It's not all the way fixed yet, but it's halfway there, and it cost $330. So I thought better to try to fix it for that amount than to try to go buy another MacBook for $2,000. Going down a little further, we've got our savings categories. So if you haven't seen our 2020 financial goals video, I'll link it right up here. I think it'll be somewhere. And that basically tells you what our goals are. Pretty soon I'm gonna be updating those goals because I kind of reevaluated the year and reevaluated some of our expenses that have recently changed, literally in the last 2 weeks. So our savings goals that I initially had for 2020 2 weeks ago have changed already. And I feel actually I feel comfortable with it. It's just basically that we're not going to continue to save through the year once these accounts get up to the amount that we are comfortable with. and I'll kind of talk about that. So the kids accounts, we are going to add another 50 in here, but basically it's going to come from the kids' piggy bank of money that they have saved from birthday and Christmas, and that will come out of that money. It won't actually come out of our budget. So I've already put $50 into this account this month. Our family account is planned to get $150, and I've got $125 in there so far. So we're gonna add 25 more in that category. Medical account, I planned for 100 and I put 100 in. Same with the slush account and the Christmas account. The emergency fund, we plan to do 125, which we usually do 100 or 125 a month, but I thought we have our $1,000 emergency fund. It's actually a little bit more than that. So why are we continuing to pay into it when that's a pretty good substantial amount of money if an emergency happens? So we're gonna stop paying into that. So I've paid 50 so far, and I've stopped the rest of the payments that we're planning to go in for the month. So we have $75 extra there that can go towards something else, like that unbudgeted expense that we had earlier in the month. Something I'm going to say here, and I have said it in videos before, is if you do not plan for Christmas and you're somebody who likes to enjoy Christmas and likes to buy gifts for people and not have to be the person that says, I'm not doing Christmas this year, then start saving for Christmas now. However much you can save is great. We're doing 100 a month, so we can have 1,200. And if we have leftover, we'll put it towards our financial goals then. But it's a great idea to start now, so you have 12 months, so you don't feel obligated to use credit cards at that point. So this is all of our savings. And basically next month, we will put in savings a little bit in a few of these accounts until they're up to the level that we are comfortable with them being at. And then we're gonna stop saving and put all of that money towards our financial goal, which is to get out of debt. So if you go down here at the bottom, this is the total. So the total that we have, and I do this a little different. This is a zero-based budget, but the way I do my spreadsheet is different than how some people do their spreadsheet. They'll do their total income minus their total expenses, and then they'll figure out their zero, whatever. They already have their snowball planned in. What I do is I find the total, which you see right here. There's the total, and then it calculates my snowball for me right there, which then gives me my total of $6,384, which should match up if we go all the way back up here. That should match up with our total income, so $6,384. Perfect. The reason I do this is so that I don't have to come up with the number for my snowball, so I don't have to say, okay, I want to put $600 towards my snowball this month, when if I do it to where it calculates it for me, this spreadsheet is telling me I am putting $418 towards my debt snowball, no matter what. And if at the end of the month, which you'll see here, this is what I've spent so far, and this is what my debt snowball would be right now, but of course we still have things to come out. So at the very end of the month, when everything else has come out of our account, I will look at this number here, and if this number is bigger than 418, great, we saved money, we made things work, and we have a bigger debt snowball. If this number happens to be smaller, that means we went over budget, and we might need to reevaluate our budget a little bit for the next month, but it tells me what my debt snowball is going to be rather than me trying to calculate it, because I think when you're thinking about paying your debt snowball, you think of the comfortable number. Whereas right here, if this tells me at the end of the month that I'm paying $1,000 to the debt snowball because everything else is taken care of, then I'm paying $1,000 towards the debt snowball. That's just how I think of it. It's still zero-based because in the end, the total is the exact amount as the income coming in. So that's just how I do it. And then a couple other things that I'm going to show you. I've got my February here. It's clearly not filled in yet. But this is my yearly tracker. So on my yearly tracker, I've got every single month of the year listed here. And then I've got all my expenses for January. So when January is over, I will take all of my actual numbers and I will plug them in here. And then down here at the bottom, it will tell me in January, this is what I spent, this is what my snowball was, this is what my total was. So as you can see, this is a little different than what my actual January budget says because I haven't updated this. Now, all my other numbers are basically estimates because the way that I wanted to do this was by month, because there are some yearly trackers that just take all of your expenses and multiply them by 12, and that's what it gives you for what you're going to spend for the year. But for us, some things change. In the summertime, we have additional income that comes in. So if you'll see here, extra income, we do have additional income that we know will be coming as long as that is something that my husband still plans to do, which he does. So that changes our income for those months. So I can't just multiply everything by 12 because things change. Then also we start to get some debt that's going to be paid off. And I'm putting this out there because I plan on having these things paid off. And if I write it down, that means it's going to happen. So from here, once you get to August, also in August, school starts up and my daughter will be starting preschool, and so we have another additional expense for our daycare expense. So I want to be able to put that change in here. So we all of a sudden jump from $800 in July to $1,400 in August when my daughter starts preschool. So that's a big deal. That's something we have to budget for the year, and that changes the total in the daycare category immensely. But if you scroll all the way to this end, this tells me the total income I'll have for the year, total extra income that we're planning on having, and then it tells us all of our total for each category for the entire year, which is awesome. So not only does this give me a projected amount that hopefully we will be in range with, but once I update all of these months at the end of the year, I'll be able to evaluate my budget really quickly, because if I plug these numbers in every month, it won't take much for me in December to look at this and say, whoa, we went way over what we planned on spending for food. Or, whoa, daycare was a lot of money this year. We need to try to figure a different plan out, or we need to try to just make sure we budget extra money there or something. So it tells you what your total amounts for the entire year are, which is awesome. And I spent a lot of time doing this. I'm new at spreadsheets, but I have a lot of fun with them, as you can see. So that's kind of my yearly tracker. Then I've got a debt tracker. This is just simple. It's not pretty or anything. I've got my total debt that I'm starting at the beginning of 2020. And then I have my January payments, and then I calculate these remaining balances myself. I don't let this calculate it for me because sometimes I have to go in and check and see what the interest rate has done. So even though I'm paying this amount doesn't technically go off of all of my balances, which sucks when you're paying off debt, but it's the truth. So I go in and I look at all of the remaining balances, and that's what I plug in here. And then in February, I'll put all of our minimum payments. And then if we do have a snowball, so this month we'll have a snowball at the end of the month on the Trailblazer. So I will change this number to whatever we added to it and then put the remaining. February, same thing. I'll put all of our payments plus the snowball whenever we put it in. And then I'll put the remaining whatever is listed on my actual debt. It's not a calculation through this spreadsheet. And then of course I've got my goals listed out here, which I'm gonna do an updated video in probably the end of the month so that you can see our updated goals. But this is my budget spreadsheet, and that's just how I work it. I do budget on paper as well, as you saw in my January 2020 budget. I just like to write everything down, but this way it has a very calculated formula so that I know exactly like that I'm not messing something up, because I'm bound to mess something up when I'm writing things down. Okay guys, that is going to be it for my Excel / I actually use Google Spreadsheets. If you have made it this far in the video, please go down to the comments and let me know if you like budgeting on paper or if you like budgeting in Excel or Google Sheets, and tell me why. Let me know what you see as the pros and cons, and then make sure you give this video a like if you found it helpful. You can get my budget spreadsheet, the entire thing with the yearly tracker and the debt tracker and all that, on my Etsy shop, which I'll have linked below. If you haven't checked out our debt confession video, I will put it in the cards. And then don't forget to subscribe, because like I said, it really helps out my channel, and we will see you in 3 days.